Welcome, my name is Darren and this is 702 Streetcars. This video is going to be kind of boring. It's going to be a lot of talking. It's going to be an intro to the channel and what I'm going to be doing, and a little bit of history and background on me. So I've been working in the automotive industry for coming up on 15 years now, 16 years. I've done just about all of it. I, started out changing oil, little stuff. Worked at Ford dealer, Toyota dealer, a bunch of independent shops, Firestone, and then probably the last 6 years, I've been working off and on for, the performance industry. I started out, a buddy of mine owned a shop out here in Vegas called Wicked HP. I started off going up there and helping him when he'd get overloaded with work. Then after that, I worked for a couple LS performance shops here in town. And then most recently, I worked for the Richard Petty Driving Experience before they got bought out, and not sure if they changed their name or what, but I know they sold the company to someone else. But my main job there was I was the lead technician, maintaining all their NASCARs. They had two ZL1 Camaros, two Hellcats, a GT350. We had to maintain and, make sure everything was running good for everybody, as well as maintaining everything and servicing everything. I also was down on pit road quite often doing, tires, inspecting cars, making sure everything was good. And then most recently I worked for a shop out here called Motec, where we did LSLT swaps into Jeep Wranglers. I was their TIG welder essentially. They do a lot of kits that they sell, and we also had a bunch of vehicles in the shop that we were swapping and all that. So I did pretty much all their aluminum fabrication and basically anything with TIG welding I did. I'm not going to say I'm a fabricator per se, but I am a fairly decent TIG welder. I can do a pretty decent job fabricating stuff. I do not MIG weld basically at all. I can. I'm not great at it. I don't enjoy it. In my opinion, I feel that anybody with a MIG welder and 7-8 hours of practice time and materials can become good at it. That's just not interesting to me. Whereas TIG welding actually takes a lot of time, a lot of hands-on doing it. So that's what I enjoy. So that's what I do. So a lot of this channel will be some fabrication, some TIG welding, some making some parts. Other than that, a short history of my vehicles. From 2008 to 2014, I had a 98 Camaro Z28 that started life 100% stock when I got it. I did headers, no cats, Y pipe to an SLP loudmouth, had a BBK SSI intake, 85mm throttle body, SLP lid, SLP bellow, 3200 stall and 373 gears. That setup went 12.1 at 115, was the best it ever went. After that passed, I then put a cage in it, a full 6-point cage that I was all fully TIG welded. I did everything myself while I was going to school out in Sacramento at WyoTech. After I graduated WyoTech, I then moved back to Las Vegas, and I was getting ready to put a cam in the car and realized that it had a pretty bad oil leak from the oil pan, and the motor had 105,000 miles on it or something like that, and that motor probably had 1,000, 2,000 passes on it. I beat the crap out of that car. So I, at that point, decided to pull it, check the bearings, the rod bearings, main bearings, check everything out. While I was in the process of pulling it and looking it over, an opportunity came up for me to get an iron block 6-liter. So I bought that, put new rod bearings, main bearings, put new piston rings in it, put a 228 230 cam in it. So pretty small cam for the setup. Hell, it was even pretty small for the LS1, which was originally what I bought the cam for. Then I had a buddy of mine that used to work for South Point Racing's NASCAR team, porting all their cylinder heads. Ported the heads for me. Put 202 intake stainless valves in it, 190 exhaust Inconel valves in it. Manly Nextech. It was all Manly parts. Manly Nextech valve springs, retainers, and locks. And then I put the 85 millimeter intake back on it, and 85 millimeter throttle body back on it. And I did put a bigger converter in it. I put a 3600 stall in it, and I put 410s in it. That combo on 150 shot of nitrous made 626 to the tire, and did a best of 10.72 at 134, which I thought was pretty good. But the little 4L60E in it was not happy. It just kept burning up clutches, and I had all sorts of problems with it, so I ended up actually parking the car, and then later on parting the car out. After that, I got a 2009 Pontiac G8 GT with the 6.0 6-speed auto. On that car, I did long tubes, no cats, X-pipe, to just straight pipe out to the back of the car. I did a custom 4-inch intake on it, and that's pretty much it. It had a small shot of nitrous on it. I'd shoot anywhere from 100 to 150 shot through that setup. It also had a Diablo Sport Trinity tuner that I would just use to pull timing out of it for when I'd spray it. And that setup did extremely well for what it was. For very little mods, I have a buddy that's got a, at the time it was just intake exhaust GTR. And from a roll, I'd keep right on his back bumper on the spray. From a dig, it was a different story. I'd just spin like crazy. About 4 months ago now, a guy ran a red light and T-boned me in the G8 and totaled the car. So I used the money that I got from insurance for that and got a 2010 Camaro SS with the LS3 and the 6-speed. So I've had that car for a couple months now. When I bought it, it had pace setter coated 1 3/4 headers on it. No cats, no muffler, straight pipe all the way out. And it had a K&N cold air intake on it. Since I've had it, I've built a catch can for it, put a catch can on it. Put a set of Mickey Thompson ET Street SS's on it. 305 30/20s or something like that. Which are awesome tire. The car would. I've also put HP tuners. I got HP tuners and tuned that car, the Camaro, and I think it's probably making around 430 wheel, 420 wheel. It's never been on the dyno, but it's been a pretty fun car so far. A big push for me to do this channel is that since I've got that car, I really want to do a front mount turbo, single turbo. I don't want to do twins. I think twins complicates things. You have to run 2 turbos, 2 oil lines, 2 feed lines, 2 pipes going into the intercooler. It's just a lot of unnecessary stuff. If you can do it all with one, why do you need 2? That's my opinion. Don't get me wrong. Twins twin turbos is good for some people, but for me, I prefer single. So I was doing a bunch of research into doing an LSA blower on the car, doing a Pro Charger, going turbo, and there's a lot of information out there on going LSA. There's, you know, a good amount of information on YouTube on Pro Charged LS3 Camaros. There's a decent amount out there on twin turbo LS3 Camaros, but there's next to nothing on YouTube for the single turbo Camaros, especially when you're talking like the budget friendly on3 kit for the Camaro. There's literally like 4, maybe 5 videos on it out there. One of them's the car on the dyno, but they don't show numbers at the end. They just kind of show the car on the dyno making the run. And then there's another guy that's got a couple videos out there of the car running at the drag strip. One view's from inside, and then one's from the outside. The car went like 11.3 at like 129 mile an hour or something like that. But apparently he had issues where he lifted a head and torched the head and block. So from what I gathered from his channel is he sold the car. So, you know, I'm the type where I like to do research on what I'm going to do. I want to see videos of it. I want to see proof. And there's not much out there for this. So I jumped in. I spent the $2,700. Got the on3 single turbo kit. And have been working on installing it. So the car is basically 100% done. So I'm going to be doing a pretty decent video on the troubles we had installing it. And I installed it in my garage on jack stands on my back. I didn't use a lift. I didn't go to work, you know, take it to a shop where I could use a lift. Nothing like that. I, you know, pulled in my 2-car garage, and me and my dad went to town and put this kit on it. I also did head studs while I was there. And I'm going to tune the car myself. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to try to record as much as I can. I'm pretty new to this, so I apologize if there's pieces missing, and if there is something you have questions on, just comment and I will do my best to answer them and do a video on them. But so far the kit fits pretty well. What I didn't know at the time when I bought it was it uses the factory exhaust manifold for the passenger side. Well, I bought the car, it had long tubes on it, so I didn't have a factory exhaust manifold for the passenger side. So I ended up using the old exhaust manifold off my G8. It wasn't perfect, but I was able to cut the flange and move it some and re-weld it on and getting it to fit. Some of the other issues we had, there's just a whole bunch of little issues that in the review for that kit I will go over. But for the most part, I am fairly happy with it. There again, I haven't fired the car up yet. I haven't driven it yet. So I'm not going to tell you that it's a great kit yet because I don't know. So there's going to be a couple videos coming out here in the next few days of the on3 kit starting for the first time. A review of the kit, tuning it, and how it does. So if you like these videos, please like, comment, subscribe, and short of that, I'm going to have quite a few videos coming out of some of the street racing that goes on out here in Las Vegas, New Mexico, I'll put it. We do have quite a big race scene going on out here, and I have quite a few videos saved up from the last 6 months or so of racing going on out there. Most of the cars that I film and I race with are street cars. They're not race cars. There's occasionally a few there's quite a few guys out here that go out there and street race with their race cars. They're not street cars, they're race cars. And I will occasionally have a few videos of those. But for the most part, these are your everyday street cars. Like I said, I got a buddy that's now got a full bolt-on GTR. It's a couple guys that have 600, 700, 800 horsepower Mustangs. Trying to think. There's a couple guys. There's a guy that goes out pretty frequently with a big cammed C6 with a Pro Charger on it that makes like 670 to the tire or something like that. So those are going to be the kind of videos you expect from me. Street racing, the build review, building the car, tuning the car, and some fabrication work. One thing I did do on the On3 kit is it does not come with provisions for a mass airflow sensor. And on the newer LS3 motors with the E38 ECU, their mass airflow sensors are really well. It's not like the old days where, you know, the F-body days, the 4th gen Camaro Firebird days, where you have to delete the mass airflow and go speed density to make it work. The new mass airflow sensors actually will handle quite a bit of power, boosted or not. So I modified the intake charge tube coming from, well, one of them coming from the intercooler into the throttle body, and put a bung for the mass airflow sensor in it. And I didn't really like I'm not gonna say I didn't like the way it looked. The On3 kit, all the intercooler pipes all stainless, so I just TIG welded on the bung and back purged it, make sure everything was good. But I don't know, I just wasn't happy with the stainless look. I mean, the downpipe stainless, all the the manifold on the driver's side stainless, crossover stainless, everything's stainless. Even the hard line they give you to go from the upper outlet on the radiator into the motor is they give you a stainless tube to replace the hose because of how close it is to the downpipe. So I decided I was going to powder coat all the intercooler piping. So I've done that. So it's all now flat black. So I'll go over all that in a later video. I'll go over the car the way it sits right now, and then we'll do the first startup video and what adjustments I've had to make in the tune, as well as going over logging the car with HP tuners and then making adjustments until we get the car running 100%. It's not going to be on a crazy amount of boost. I think the wastegate spring in it's like 11 or 12 psi. It does have a manual boost controller on it, so I may turn that up a couple pounds depending on how the car runs. It should handle all that plus some. I mean, it's an LS3, Gen 4 rods, Gen 4 crank that have been known to make over 1,000 tire, no problem. I did put head studs on it, so I don't think we'll have any issues at all. But if we do, I'll share it with you guys. I'm not going to hide anything. On3 did not pay me to do this, so hell, they didn't even give me a discount. I didn't ask for one. I ordered their kit like any regular guy would, and I'm gonna review it like that. If it's a piece of shit, I'm gonna call it a piece of shit. If it works good, I'm gonna tell you it works good. If the car goes out and fucking makes 300 fucking horse, makes less power than it made naturally aspirated, I'll tell you. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm that type of person. I want to make videos out there, so if someone else in a similar situation, that has a 2010 to 14 or whatever it is Camaro with the LS3 and the 6-speed, wants to go out and do this kit, they will know what they're getting themselves into. That's one thing about me is I pretty much knew no matter what, I would be able to figure something out to make the kit work, because I'm a mechanic, I'm a welder fabricator by trade, so I know I could fix it. no matter what was wrong with it. There's a lot of guys out there that wouldn't be able to do that. There's a lot of guys out there that are interested in doing this kit that would have to take it to a shop to have them install it, and they have to budget for that. So if, you know, On3 says on their site it's an 8-hour install, but it actually turns out to be a 12-hour install, you know, that's an extra $400 or $600 depending on the shop and what their hourly rate is. So I want to be 100% transparent with you guys and do a full honest review of this, so anybody else out there that's looking to do the On3 single front mount turbo kit, it is a 7875 turbo. I did opt for the 4-inch thick race intercooler, as they call it, as well as I did opt to buy their 3-bar map sensor. So we'll see how that 3-bar map sensor works out. It may be a piece of shit too. The car does have 65 pound per hour injectors on a factory fuel pump. I do have the fuel pump control module unlocked through HP tuners, and I have basically cranked the pump up to max flow, max pressure, and we'll see where that tops out at. You know, it may handle the 11-12 psi no problem. There again, we may hit 8-9 psi boost, and that pump be, you know, my injector duty cycle be 100%, 115% even. It happens, and in that case, I'll put a bigger pump in it, and we'll go from there. That way, everybody will know if the On3 kit's worth a damn or isn't, because there's plenty of guys out there with Mustangs running them that seem to work really well. There's plenty of reviews for, you know, the old Fox body Mustangs with the old 5.0 in them. There's plenty of reviews out there for the kit for the new Edge Mustangs with the 4.6s. There's plenty of reviews out there for the new S550s with the 5.0s. There's reviews for all these On3 kits out there. There's not for the Camaro. So that's about to change, and we're about to see if it works or it doesn't. So again, if you guys like what I'm doing, you know, like, comment, subscribe, get me new ideas for what you guys want to see. I have ideas for what I want to make. So yeah, just like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day.